live on GBC24 and it's time for News Hour. Good evening and you're welcome. My name is Siyoko Pakutre.
I am Shelley and coming up, Ghana Education Service designs software to detect examination malpractices.
Department of Chemical Engineering of Kumasi Polytechnic generates fuel from plastic waste.
An Indian police arrests suspected leader of an illegal human kidney trading gang.
Now the news in detail. The unions of the Tema shipyard have come out in favor of the shipyard being placed under the management of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. The Tema-based facility is one of the largest shipyards and dry docks in Africa and has seen a change in ownership from the state, which divested ownership to the Malaysian company PSG and then back to the state. Now faced with the challenge of reversing its downward spiral, the unions of the shipyard point to the GPHA as best placed to manage and set the facility on the path to recovery.
The Tema shipyard was built as part of the master plan for the Tema Harbour in the 1960s to meet the overall infrastructure requirement for the country's maritime economic development. With a working capital of 3 million cedis by the then government, a 150-ton capacity slipway was built. The shipyard is strategically placed to take advantage of dry docking and repair needs of ships 100,000 deadweight tonnage plying the western shoreline of Africa. The shipyard has become more significant at a time Ghana is producing oil and gas. After years of unsuccessful management of the shipyard, government bought back 60% of the shareholding interest from the Malaysians at a cost of $6.36 million. The money, according to the workers, was paid by the GPHA. Under a Ghanaian management in 2011, the shipyard made over 600% profit and employed more workers and bought some major equipment. Addressing the media, the chairman of the Senior Staff Association, Mr. Christian Dugbe, said the shipyard has been collapsing under a bad leadership and management since 2013. The workers say GPHA has the competence and the financial strength to revive the Tema shipyard.
GPHA already has the manpower, capacity, and experience. All it takes is updating of skills in conjunction of the existing workforce of the shipyard to achieve results beyond expectation. GPHA has the financial strength, even to the extent to borrow more than $100 million on its balance sheet to finance the rehabilitation of the shipyard and recover within a reasonable investment period.
The workers argued that just as Tor came under the management of Bost and is yielding positive results, the shipyard will make gains under the management of Gapuha.
We are again, through the platform of the media, appealing to Mr. President that in order for us to achieve the vision of the founder of the Ports of Ghana, as per the original master plan of the Tema Port, Mr. President should not look elsewhere for strategic foreign investors within requisite capital and expertise to turn the fortunes of the shipyard around when GPHA is close by. We workers of the strongly Tema shipyard believe and have confidence of the expertise and capabilities of the management of GPHA and strongly favor them as the best strategic investor for the Tema shipyard.
Ahead of the November elections, the founder of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papakwesi Indum, says his party will start campaigning in August and end in October. In a call on Wednesday, Dr. Indum called on the public, especially the youth, to vote for the PPP.
When should we work and when should we campaign? When should we help develop Ghana? And when should we go looking for votes? Is it the day after an election? If you spend your entire 4 years campaigning, looking for votes, organizing yourself for an election, then when are you going to make a contribution to development? So I want people to understand I am not a professional politician. That is not my job. I am a Ghanaian who knows that it is me, it is you, it is each and every one of us who must work most of the time that we have to assist in making sure that development happens in Ghana. My task is to help develop whatever corner of Ghana I have the ability to assist in, or also to help to bring jobs, to help create opportunities for people. And that is what I have been doing since the end of the election in 2012. And what I've been doing is there for everybody to see. So campaign will come. So you will find me campaigning August, September, October. That's when I will campaign.
The National Communication Authority has been meeting manufacturers and dealers in communication equipment and gadgets on the role of standardization in improving communications in the country. Discussions centered on sanctions for non-compliance with regulatory, technical, and safety standards.
The National Communications Authority, NCA, is mandated under the Electronic Communications Act and regulations to ensure that all electronic communication equipment manufactured or imported into Ghana for sale or use conforms with minimum health and safety standards, as well as electromagnetic compatibility and radio requirement. In line with this, the NCA introduced the type approval regime to facilitate easy access to market, introduce a variety of equipment choice for the consumer, and maintain consumer rights to quality and safety of the equipment. To ensure compliance with electronic communications equipment standards, the National Communication Authority organized a forum to educate dealers in communication equipment on the requirements and procedures for the type approval certificate, dealership licensing, and port inspection. The head of information technology at the Ghana Standards Authority, Mr. Strigna Bedu Ado, emphasized the importance of standardization in improving communication.
The telecom and ICT sector has been characterized by innovation, competition, collaboration, and dynamic change. Hence the need for standards to regulate the fast-paced nature of technology. While these technologies are becoming increasingly abundant, we must ensure that we use them responsibly and with caution, especially in order to avoid accidents, injury, and safeguard our hard-earned investments.
Mr. Robert Apaya at the Legal Division of the NCA listed some offences that can lead to the confiscation of electronic communications equipment.
Provide an electronic communication service without a license, where a license is required for that service, is illegal. So in such a case, an action in the nature of equipment confiscation can be taken against the party in breach of the said provision, and which allows the authority to take any other action that is considered appropriate and that is contrary to the ECA Act.
The country's education authorities have announced the development of a new software to prevent cheating in examinations. Last year, the West African Examinations Council cancelled a number of subjects papers in the Basic Education Certificate examination due to leakages. The software, the item differential profile, detects and exposes possible examination leakages. The development was announced on Wednesday, just days ahead of this year's Basic Education Certificate examinations, which gets underway across the country on Monday. GBC24's Winifred Efum has more on that story.
External examinations in the country have been fraught with leakages over the years. Even this year, there were reports that the West African Senior Secondary School exams, WASSCE, had leaked, but the papers were not cancelled, and WAEC explained that the supposed leakages were not widespread. as the Ghana Education Service GES prepares to organize yet another external exams, this time the BECE, it has put in place some measures to curtail the anxieties parents and students go through after examinations due to fears of possible cancellations.
It seems GES have been doing a lot of good things, but put under the shelf. Now we will come to the limelight with all those things. Those teachers who are involved, we will publish their names and have them sacked from the service. We don't need them. We don't need such people. They are disgracing the profession. We should live up to our responsibility and ensure that we teach our younger generation the truth. That is all we are talking about. Nothing but the truth. We cannot create a generation of thieves, a generation of liars, and one day we turn back to accuse the very leaders who we produce as having been involved in those things. So we must stop it now.
GES says that websites on the internet and social media which made distribution of compromised papers have been clamped down and operators arrested. 461,013 pupils coming from 14,267 schools have registered for this year's BECE, which will begin on June 13th. Supervision will be provided solely by GES.
A meeting on climate change has been held in Tamale, the northern regional capital, with focus on the Paris Agreement on global warming. Floods, droughts, and rising sea levels are some of the environmental impacts of climate change on Africa. Climate change interacting with human drivers such as deforestation and forest fires are a threat to Africa's ecosystems. Experts say changes in grasslands and marine ecosystems on the continent are noticeable.
Paris Agreement, which involves 195 countries, requires member countries to help mitigate the effect of climate change. The Northern Regional Minister, Mr. Abdullahi Abubakar, expressed concern about the high rate at which forest resources in the region are getting depleted. He said the situation has resulted in erratic rainfall pattern, drought, and reduction in food production. The Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Mr. Mahama Yariga, said government has articulated its vision to address climate change through the National Climate Change Policy and the Master Plan.
We're not just concerned about reducing emissions. We're also concerned about the temperature has already risen to a certain level, and the lives of our people are already being affected. So what steps can we take so that they can adjust to the present conditions? These are the actions that we determine as adaptation actions. What can we do to adapt to the existing situation? And what can we do to mitigate the impact of the warming of the earth?
Paramount Chief of Bupe Traditional Area, Bupe Rura, Jinapo, called on his colleague chiefs to check activities that could destroy vegetation.
This is still live on GBC24. We're taking a short break. Business is next.
Hello, good evening and welcome. It's time for some business update. I am Dorothy Ajimai. The IFC, a member of the World Bank Group in collaboration with the State Secretariat of Economic Affairs of Switzerland, has introduced the Ghana Digital Financial Services Initiative. The project aims at advancing financial inclusion through new technology and innovative business models. A deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Milson Na, said the central bank will apply digital financial services to ensure customers are not shortchanged.
According to a study by the Consultative Group to Assess the Poor, CGAP, financial inclusion in rural Ghana has increased from 44% in 2010 to 72% in 2015. While the number of mobile money transactions has grown tremendously, service providers report slow adoption of mobile money usage and a high number of inactive customers. Bank of Ghana data indicate that the value of mobile money transaction within the past 3 years has increased from 223.3 million Ghana cedis in 2011 to 547.9 million Ghana cedis in 2015. Analysts say the trend signals the important role the digital financial services in financial inclusion. The Ghana Digital Financial Services Initiative will also seek to increase financial inclusion by deploying new technology and innovative business modules. The initiative, which is being funded by State Secretariat of Economic Affairs of Switzerland, SECO, will be implemented by the IFC and CGAP in collaboration with the Bank of Ghana and the financial industry. The 4-year program will use the mobile phone and other innovative systems to help Ghanaians, especially those in rural Ghana, to transact businesses without using cash. The head of economic cooperation at State Secretariat of Economic Affairs of Switzerland, Mr. Imujaman, indicated that they will learn from success of digital financial services in other countries to make the program in Ghana a success.
It's about bringing forward solutions to people in order to move them forward to contribute to wealth creation, while at the same time showing that an economic case can be made.
The head of financial institutions at the IFC said digital financial services is now a tool not only for financial inclusion but poverty alleviation, and the IFC will do its best to help Ghana in that direction. The first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Melisina, said the Bank of Ghana has instituted the needed regulatory framework to make the mobile money sector thrive without any challenges.
As you are aware, effective policy making and supervision of digital finance require accurate, relevant, and timely information. The bank is therefore implementing a project to make it easier to collect information on digital finance. The development of a web portal to collect data from industry players is far advanced, and selected employees of banks and MNOs have been trained on the use of the portal. It is anticipated that the portal will be operational by the 3rd quarter of the year.
The 4-year program will support regulatory and market capacity and provide direct technical assistance to 2 industry actors to increase the reach of digital financial services in support of inclusive economic growth.
GN Bank has held its final draw in the People's Gift promo, with Vincent Brown and Anthony Kwanzaa joint account holders winning the ultimate prize of a brand new Ford Focus saloon car. The managing director of the bank, Mr. Isa Adams, said the promotion is meant to reward loyal customers and encourage savings.
The GN Bank's People's Gift promotion was introduced in November last year. It is a customer deposits promotion to mobilize revenue, reward customers for their loyalty to the bank, and create awareness of the presence of GN Bank. Customers were to deposit 200 Ghana cedis or multiples thereof into any of the bank's deposit products to earn coupons and stand a chance of winning. Directors of GN Bank say they divided the country into 4 zones, namely Southwest, Southeast, Middle Belt, and the Northern Zone. The zoning ensured that all customers across the country had a fair and equitable chance of winning. The winning prizes ranged from motorbikes, generators, fridges, LED television sets, and mobile phones. In the final draw held on Wednesday, 3 customers received awards. The ultimate prize of a brand new Ford Focus saloon car went to Vincent Brown and Anthony Kwanzaa from Elmina. Francis Hedagbi from Yeji received a paid trip to South Africa plus $2,000 spending money as the second prize. Maracas Islamic Travel and Tour at Walewale in the Northern Zone won the third prize, which came as 15,000 cedis. The General Manager for Operations at GN Bank, Mr. Alain Kwe, promised that the bank would execute more promotions in the near future.
Customers' response to the promotion has been very positive. GN Bank has over 100,000 plus valid coupons, which enable GN Bank meet the deposit targets. Qualitatively, there were several lessons, all of which will enable GN Bank better plan, better organize, and better execute future promotions going forward.
In an interview, the managing director of the company, Mr. Issa Adams, encouraged potential and existing customers to use the final draw as a stepping stone to increase their savings.
You don't have to keep your money under the table or wherever. All you need to do is take it to the nearest GM Bank branch that you have very close to your location, and your monies are safe. And above all, too, because we are everywhere, we also help to ensure that you will not lose your money. If you are traveling from here to Wichao, that's in Upper West region, all you need to do is just to pick your bag and go there. Once you can pay for your lorry fare, you go there and you access your money because we are fully networked.
The board chairman of the bank, Mr. Charles Nimakon, indicated that the promo, branch expansions and products are all in tandem with the bank's corporate mission. GN Bank also focuses on serving small businesses and provides support to micro-enterprises.
306 change agents across Ghana have been trained by the Ghana Revenue Authority to disseminate information and rip up support for reforms taking place within the Ghana Revenue Authority.
In December 2009, the three tax revenue agencies, the Customs, Excise and Preventive Service, SEPS, the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, the Value Added Tax Service, VATS, and the Revenue Agency's Governing Board Secretariat were merged in accordance with Ghana Revenue Authority Act 2009, Act 791. Since then, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, replaced the revenue agencies in the administration of taxes and customs duties in the country. However, the placement of revenue agencies under the GRA and the reforms associated with such a move faces some challenges. By far, the most daunting task confronting the GRA is the resistance by some of the staff to the realignment process, resulting in negative attitudes. Thus, management of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, decided to train some 306 members across the country to be change agents in the various jurisdictions. At the first annual conference for change agents in Accra, the Commissioner of the Customs Division of GRA, Mr. John Vianney, commended the staff who have accepted their new role to be change agents within the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA. He urged them to be tactful and results-oriented.
It is the intention of management to build the capacity of the change agents to coordinate all change management issues within GRA and through the steering committee develop mechanisms by resolving any conflicts that may arise. Even though much has been achieved in the 6th year of the reform process, I must concede that a lot remains to be done in terms of processes, procedures, attitudes, and behaviors, and the evolving of a desired organizational culture.
The management of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, is optimistic that the role to be played by the 306 change agents will go a long way to impact the activities of GRA to improve revenue collection by the authority.
The Supervising Minister for Power, Seth Tekpe, has assured the workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, that government will not take any decision that will not inure to the business of the company before a concessionaire is appointed to manage the operations of ECG. At a meeting with the Workers' Union of ECG, Mr. Tekpe, however, intimated that the handing over of the management of ECG is aimed at carrying out reforms and strengthening the balance sheet of the company.
On Monday, 6th June 2016, the workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana reiterated their objection and opposition to the private participation into the operations of the ECG. According to them, the policy is not the best option to bring reforms to make the ECG more efficient and profitable. They denied that the software being employed by the company to bill customers is faulty, and also asked the government and MMDAs to pay their debts owed the ECG, and this will put them in better position to perform better. This is what prompted the meeting between the Supervising Minister for Power, Seth Tekpe, and the workers of the ECG. After a closed-door meeting with the workers, Mr. Seth Tekpe said the government will look into the issues with regards to faulty billing software and the MMDA's indebtedness to the ECG.
The purpose of these engagements, is, to engage in a dialogue, basically, around the issues that have been in the news, lately, with respect to whether we're talking about areas of, tariffs, we're talking about, the areas of computer and other systems. This wasn't meant to be a meeting that would be conclusive, in any particular topic. It is a continuing, engagement. The issues of the private sector participation was also, discussed.
On the privatization of the ECG, Mr. Tekpe indicated that the move is not to privatize the ECG, but carry out the needed reforms that will make the ECG stand on its own.
It's a common destiny, as far as the health of not just ECG, whose, union leaders are here, but the sector-wide, the energy sector, that's petroleum, as well as the the utilities, sector, are, concerned. The discussions also has a wider context, as you know, that there are discussions that are ongoing as it is in preparing these very state-owned enterprises towards the oil and gas era and making sure that, in particular, their balance sheets and things are strengthened.
In an interview with the General Secretary of the Public Utility Workers Union, Mr. Atukwamina Bonzikwe said they expect the government to work on the issues they have raised and make the necessary amendments that will make ECG better.
We haven't said we don't like reforms. We all want reforms one way or the other. For the positive aspect of reforms could be negative or positive. But for what we are seeing, there could be capital flight in no time if you allow these people to come. So why do we don't give up the engineers opportunity to also have a share in the image of the company? Why? Why the haste? In fact, there's no one example out there anywhere in this world or in Africa. Let's concentrate in Africa that there has been a success story on matters like this.
The two parties are expected to meet again to thrash out the thorny issues before a final decision to allow for private participation in the operations of the ECG is made.
Move to the Ashanti region, where the Chemical Engineering Department of the Kumasi Polytechnic has made a breakthrough in the search for alternative uses of plastic waste. The breakthrough follows the successful use of a technology to convert plastics into different types of fuel, diesel, kerosene and petrol. The breakthrough is being hailed essentially because it will lead to a reduction in the country's crude oil imports.
One of the environmental challenges facing Ghana is plastic waste.
But if plans go on as planned, then the plastic waste will soon become a productive venture. This follows moves by some students at the Kumasi Polytechnic who have managed to come out with a technology to turn the plastic waste as raw material for producing fuel. The amount of plastic waste generated will not be enough, and the team is targeting used tires as the possible alternative raw material. The demonstration of the diesel, petrol and kerosene produced from plastic waste by the research team, led by the head of the Chemical Engineering Department, Dr. Robert Dewi Nagre, attracted a lot of people during a congregation at the campus. A prototype generator was powered by the diesel that has been produced from the plastic waste. This was done in collaboration with Jatkan Company. Dr. Robert Nagre explains further.
Looking at the menace that plastic waste poses to the environment, it's actually affect wildlife, it affect the wildlife habitat and also humans as well. And considering the nature by which the plastic waste were produced, they're actually non-biodegradable. So that means that they cannot be broken down by the normal microorganisms that we have in the system, unlike food waste and then paper waste and all of that. This one, it can stay in the environment for so long a time without actually undergoing degradation. So there's a need for us to clean the environment, which is a threat to us. And we also see it as a source of alternative source of generating power that we can use in our generators.
Another area of breakthrough by the Polytechnic in the area of research is the assembling of a type of electric vehicle which is very unique. The rector said the research has been possible in partnership with one Mr. Samuel Ampia, a welder and sprayer graduate from the Accra Technical School. This is the vehicle that the researchers are still working on, and it is just about coming on the road.
You've not even finished the final coating, so it's just a raw metal from our things. Yeah.
According to Professor Insuwa Nyama, what makes the vehicle under manufacturing unique is that it does not require any charging of batteries using electricity. On the conversion of the polytechnics into technical universities, which Kumasi Polytechnic was the first among the number of polytechnics earmarked from the program, the rector called for an urgent meeting between the Polytechnic, the National Accreditation Board, and the National Council for Technical Education to discuss the newly designed demand-driven programs introduced by the Polytechnics for approval before a new academic year takes off in September, when the Polytechnic finally becomes a fully fledged technical university. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Alexander John Akon, commended the Polytechnic for its achievements.
I encourage all your free graduates to explore self-employment as an option to public sector jobs which are non-existent. As you are well aware, the public sector cannot employ all of you. Likewise, the private sector. Self-employment is the way to go.
In all, 2,392 who passed out were awarded the higher national diplomas and Bachelor of Technology certificates. 61 of them obtained first class, 810 had second class upper, 1,193 second class lower, and 122 had passed. Mr. Andrew Kobina Wumwa was adjudged the overall best graduate and swept all the prizes.
You're watching News Hour, and this is the business segment. On the interbank market, the cedi lost 5 pesos against the pound sterling to trade at 5 cedi 62 pesos. The local currency, however, maintained its value to the dollar and euro. Coming up is the board. Light crude, gold and cocoa all increased in price by close of trade. This segment was brought to you by Airtel and Ernest Chemist. Insurance news is next. No matter what stage of life you are in, there's an amount of knowledge one needs to survive. Life insurance is one such thing. For many, the right time to learn about life insurance is between when one starts earning money to when one retires. GBC24 brings you some pointers in choosing a life insurance policy.
Like most things in life, different life insurance policies offer different benefits. While choosing an insurance plan, it is important to be clear about why you want to purchase it, what your end goal is, and what you expect from it. Secondly, one has to decide on how often you can pay premium to keep the insurance plan active. The frequency of your premium payments should be based on a thorough and practical assessment of your financial situation, which should be done keeping in mind what's most convenient for you. Thirdly, one has to be sure to read the policy document very well to know the conditionalities. A valuable feature of an insurance plan is that it not only provides financial protection but can also serve as a collateral while borrowing funds. As a policyholder, you have the right to avail a loan against your insurance policy, which can be extremely beneficial for investors with limited assets. However, these loans are granted only against traditional policies like endowments and money-back policies that offer both life cover and savings. The chief responsibility of your insurance company is to pay claim amounts and deliver maturity benefits. Make sure to select an insurance company that has a high claim settlement and a hassle-free claim process. With insurance penetration still hovering around 3%, education on the types and benefits of insurance will go a long way to ensure an increase in insurance penetration in Ghana.
Insurance news was brought to you by SIC Live. We have more news coming up. Please do stay.
For the health segment, proudly sponsored by FPAC blows your pain away. More than 300 citizens have benefited from free surgeries through the Vodafone Foundation in the last 7 years. Over 900 patients were also treated and discharged freely, funded by the Vodafone Foundation. At its 25th anniversary launch, Board Chair Dr. Joyce Ayi also disclosed some feats attained by the foundation in the area of education.
Vodafone Ghana Foundation, the charity arm of Vodafone Ghana, was launched in 2009 to support sustainable initiatives that drive social change, improve people's lives, and solve pressing social needs. The company, in partnership with the Ghana Medical Association, introduced a free voice platform, the Healthline Voice Message Service, which offers weekly messages on health, including Ebola, to Ghanaians. This is delivered in English and 4 other local languages. The board chairman of the Vodafone Foundation, Dr. Joyce Ayi, indicated that the foundation has supported a lot of people in the area of health and education.
Even though God saved us in this country from that dreaded disease, we felt that it was important to do a campaign to make people aware of it. And so, in partnership with WHO, we trained over 60 medical professionals in the relevant Ebola protocols, which enabled them to train other health professionals who manned the medical call centers. Additionally, the foundation used its existing health platforms to drive behavioral change and offer community support.
The chief executive of Vodafone Ghana, Yolanda Cuba, said thousands of lives have been impacted positively by the free Healthline Voice Message Service.
We pride ourselves in the fact that we've made it a habit to make sure that we're always searching for opportunities to contribute to our communities and operate in a way that is actually furthering the interests of the communities we serve.
The Vodafone Foundation and Sustainability Manager, Nanaya Efriye Ofori Kwarie, spoke about the things the foundation will do this year.
By the end of the 5 years, we would have doubled the incomes of 1 million women. We hope to have increased the school progression rates by 50%. We hope to have reduced infant mortality by 50%. And also expect that we provide employable skills to the unemployed youth.
The foundation is funded by Vodafone Ghana and the Vodafone Group Foundation and managed by a board of trustees.
Sexuality and sexually transmitted infections, STIs, are still difficult subjects in most urban and rural homes in the country. As a result, many young people face challenges arising from teenage pregnancies, HIV, STIs, and unsafe abortions. Mary Stopes International has upgraded the knowledge and understanding of the youth in sexually related issues at a summit in Accra.
Ghana today has the highest population ever of young people in her 59-year history, with 32% aged between 10 to 24 years. Sexual and reproductive rights of the youth is a cornerstone for their development into adulthood. Marie Stopes International Ghana, with its No Yawa campaign, has mounted up a fight against sexuality issues and successfully averted about 40,000 unsafe abortions and 262 maternal deaths in their 9 clinics across the country. The program officer of the School Health Education at the Ghana Health Service, Mrs. Faustina Alimatu, was optimistic that the summit would expose the youth to new ideas bordering on sexual and reproductive health. The Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Mrs. Jifa Gumashi, urged the youth to be selective in the information they sift for, since that will help them make choices which will have positive impact on them.
I think that the choices that are available to you can also be daunting. You are bombarded with so much information. I know that it will be difficult for you to sift through. But that's why you have events such as this, where you have people who are specialized in particular fields speak to you about the choices that you can make. If you choose to listen, the benefit would be not only to you and your family, but to our country.
In an interview with GBC24, the head of donor compliance and delivery of the Marie Stopes Ghana, Mr. Leonard Goba, called for the intensification of education on sexual and reproductive health among the youth.
To teach them about the issues of sexual and reproductive health right from the beginning, so that when they grow into the future, they grow with the positive things that we teach them about SRH, so that we don't have all the bad outcomes of sexually transmitted infections, of unintended pregnancies, of unsafe abortions.
The theme for the summit is Activating Youth Sexual and Reproductive Health Rights, Voices for Change.
And that's it for the health segment. Coming up, we have international news.
Welcome back now to some international news. About 2,000 troops from regional military powerhouse Chad headed to neighboring Niger, where Boko Haram insurgents inflicted heavy losses in the town of Bosso last week. The UN says up to 50,000 people have fled Bosso after the attacks in Niger's troubled southeast. The attacks, in which 26 people died, began on Friday against a military post in Bosso in Niger's Difa region. Total of 55 insurgents from the Nigeria-based Islamist group were killed and many injured, according to the authorities. According to the UN Refugee Agency, an estimated 50,000 people fled. Indian police say they have arrested a human kidney trading gang in one of the country's leading private hospitals. Police say he led a gang that lured people to sell their kidneys, which were then sold for huge profits. 8 people, including 5 employees of Delhi's Apollo Hospital, were earlier arrested in connection with the case. It is believed that the suspected gang members forged papers to dupe doctors into operating on people in the belief that they were donating the kidneys to their relatives. A chronic shortage of transplant organs is fueling a lucrative black market trade in body parts across India. We have sports coming up. Please stay.
Good evening, let's talk sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. One of Africa's football best-known figures, Stephen Keshi, has died at the age of 54. He is said to have suffered a heart attack. Keshi captained the Green Eagles of Nigeria. The Ghana Football Association says it has received a letter of apology from Sule Ali Muntari over the indefinite suspension from the Black Stars. The Saudi Arabia-based is said to have apologized for actions at the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil, which led to his indefinite suspension from the senior national team. The midfielder was handed the indefinite ban for an unprovoked physical attack on Black Stars Management Committee member Moses Ama at the tournament in Brazil. In boxing, Ghana's IBF lightweight contender Richard Comey says is promising Ghana a world title. The reigning Commonwealth lightweight champion is set to face American Robert Easter Jr., who boasts of a record 17 wins with no defeat. The fight will take place at the Accra Sports Stadium, home of Ghana's football.
Ghana's IBF lightweight contender Richard Comey will have a shot at a world title before the year ends. The bout will be staged in Ghana, will be the first time Comey will be fighting an international bout on home soil. The undefeated boxer is currently the main contender in the IBF rankings and is scheduled to face American Robert Easter Jr., who boasts of a clean record of 17-0. The IBF title became vacant after then-champion Rancis Barthelemy expressed lack of interest to stage a third title defense against Richard Comey. Announcing the bout at a news conference at the Kempinski Hotel in Accra, the promoters of the bout team, Sauerland, said they are ready to give Ghana a world title. The UK-based manager of Richard Comey, Michael Amo Bediako, touched on preparations so far.
We've been working hard for the last 6 years to get to this point. So we are very confident of winning this world title. Richard is extremely prepared, extremely focused, extremely dedicated, and without a shadow of a doubt, we'll be winning this world title in Accra, Ghana. We're still in negotiations, so the date is not confirmed yet. We still have to go through a negotiating period with our American counterparts, but it's looking like probably the end of August, the first week in September.
Richard Comey said he will not disappoint Ghanaians.
I train all year round, and after every fight, I only had 2 weeks rest, and then that's it, I'm back in training, so I'm ever ready. I want them to expect nothing than the title, because I'm retaining the title here in Ghana. I'll do everything I could in my power in the ring come the night to retain the title. If this guy really wanted it, then he should kill me. And there's no way he's going to kill me, so definitely I'm winning it and I'm keeping it here in Ghana.
Comey, a former Commonwealth champion, is undefeated in 24 fights and is currently the number 3 contender in the latest IBF rankings. The 29-year-old at the weekend was named the Professional Boxer of the Year for a second time running at the Sports Writers Association of Ghana SWAG Awards.
Colombia have booked their place at the quarterfinals of the ongoing Copa America Centenario. They beat Paraguay by 2-1. United States kept their Copa America hopes alive by thrashing Costa Rica by 4-0 in Chicago on Tuesday. That's all for sports.
Thanks for staying on. It's now time for the entertainment and arts segment. Richard Butchie is a Ghanaian writer. Richard's first book, Tales of an Orphan, shot him into the global spotlight. His latest work, My Shoes Don't Fit, tells the story of a young man's conversations with God. Richard was guest on Showbiz on GBC24.
Tell us your story.
Well, Richard is an internationally published Ghanaian writer.
I like the sound of that. Internationally published Ghanaian writer. Okay.
Yes, a poet, an essayist, a social entrepreneur, and then I'm also the CEO of Orphan Trust Movement. By the grace of God, I wrote my life story, basically the tale of an orphan, because I realized that, in our society, many people are using orphans as, offertory boxes. They're kind of saying that, yeah, we are helping orphans, but then they're really not helping them. This is the latest book that, is, driving a lot of attention all over. And it wasn't published by my first publisher. When I started the book somewhere, just about 5 to 6 years ago, when I started it, I was going through a lot. My shoes didn't fit at the time. So I decided to, I sent it to my publisher, and then he wasn't interested. He wasn't interested at the time. So I said, okay, let me just put it down. And then this year, God being so good, you have released the book.
What inspired the title, My Shoes Don't Fit?
Well, what inspired me is the part that, those who walk barefoot today will wear golden shoes tomorrow. When things are not going right in your life, you don't have to complain. You have to understand that there's time for everything.
James Joseph Brown, born May 3rd, 1933, was an American singer, songwriter, record producer, dancer, and band leader, the founding father of funk music, and a major figure of the 20th century popular music and dance. He is often referred to as God of Soul. In a career that spanned 6 years, James Brown influenced the development of several music genres. The weather report is next.
The Winko Weather Report, brought to you by RMG Ghana Limited, with technical support from the Ghana Meteorological Agency.
Welcome to the Weather Center. The weather report is proudly brought to you by RMG Ghana Limited, and my name is Eunice Kweku Tonye. For the past 24 hours, Ghana has experienced high humidity, partly cloudy conditions with some scattered showering activities. As usual, the affected areas are being scrolled with their corresponding figures at the base of your screens. From now till tomorrow morning, we are tracking high humidity to affect most parts of Ghana, and this is likely to go with a chance of scattered showering activities affecting most parts of Ghana. The areas to be affected are likely to be areas around Zabzugu, Wa, Tumu, down to Techiman, Kintampo, Kumasi, Koforidua, Asamankese, Bandai, Alavanyo, towards Pokwasi, Accra, Takrade, Axim, and all their surrounding areas. For temperatures, we are tracking 24 degrees Celsius to affect from the transition areas down to the forest and hilly areas and the coastal line. 26 degrees Celsius, however, over northern Ghana. In the afternoon, partly cloudy conditions with sunshine intervals will be affecting most parts of Ghana, and this time around, temperatures will rise to a range between 31 and 38 degrees Celsius across the entire country. Right after now is a 48-hour forecast. Do stay tuned to GTV. And that's the weather for you. Thanks for joining me. See you same time tomorrow.
That ends News Hour. GBC24 News tonight is at 10:30. Do make a date.
Good evening.